All right, welcome back to another episode in this new series, Google was asked. And in this lesson, we're going to be looking at how to change the aspect ratio inside of Premiere Pro. And if you're wondering how we came up with that lesson topic, let me give you 7 seconds of background. So I was trying to come up with a cool idea for a new series. I thought, hey, why not ask Google? Just like this, Premiere Pro, how to, boom, there we go. It gave me all these awesome ideas and we are on to this one. So without further ado or delay, let's get into it. All right, and as we've done before with the power of editing, here we are in Premiere Pro. So when looking at changing aspect ratio, one must ask why. You'll probably be aware of 3 main aspect ratios. You've got 1:1, which is your square, which you'll commonly see in Instagram. Then you've got your 9:16, which is your portrait, like your iPhone, which you'll commonly see in TikTok or an Instagram reel. And then you've got 16:9, which is what it looks like on your TV or YouTube. Now, there are a couple of other kind of weird and wacky options within that, but those are the main 3, and those are the 3 we're going to look at doing quickly today. So first off, we would need to make our 3 appropriate sequences for that. I'm making the assumption you already know how to open Premiere Pro and set up a bit of a project. If you don't, remember to leave a comment and I will help you out. But let's get in there and make some sequences. Must sip at a cafe. So to begin, let's make our first sequence heading down to our new item button and click sequence. Now, I always have a bunch of information around this and I sometimes put on my boxing gloves when this conversation comes up, but 99 times out of 100, you will be great and well off if you start with ARRI and come down to the 1080 25p to begin with. We can then tweak that sequence to match what we need. There's so many different templates there, and really the one main difference you want to try and stick to is the correct frame rate for wherever you are. So in Australia, it's 25 frames. In America, it can go between 29 and 30. And then for cinema, it might be 24, depending on what you're doing. If you're getting into that level of detail, you've probably got, a certain deliverable that you're trying to hit, or someone's told you that you need to be working with a certain type of frame rate. So let's click 25 frames per second. You click the correct one for where you're from. That took 3 goes. I got it. Let's hit OK, and you'll see our sequence generates down here. So what we're going to do is call this our 16:9 sequence. So I can just call it sequence 16:9 because that's what it's already been set up as. That's the template, which we can see there. Let's now grab that sequence. We can hit Command C for copy and Command V for paste. Duplicate our sequence. Let's change the name of this one to 9:16. And we're going to do one more, Command C for copy and Command V for paste. On a Mac, obviously the equivalent on a PC. And let's change the name here to 1:1. Now we've got a 9:16, a 1:1, and a 16:9. Of course, it's not that easy just changing the file name or the sequence name. We're going to have to go in there and actually adjust the settings. So we know our 16:9 is correct, which we can see there. Let's click our 1:1, right click, sequence settings, and now within here we can change the actual ratio. So let's change this to 1000 by 1000, a very common size. Sometimes you might do 1080 by 1080, but essentially 1000 by 1000 will be a square, and we can verify that here with this little ratio number that it gives us. Let's hit OK, and if I double click on that sequence and look over here, you will see it is a square. So let's do the third and final one here. We're going to right click on our 9:16 sequence, up to sequence settings, select, and all we're going to do is swap the numbers here. So we're going to take 1080 and put it into here, 1080, and we're going to put 1920 here. Once we click off, you can see it is verifying that 9:16. Let's hit OK, and we'll double click it just for the fun of it, and it looks like the screen of a mobile phone. I could almost reach in there and grab it. I'm not going to. All right, so those are how to create the 3 most common aspect ratios. I'm now going to drag in some of my footage into each of those so you can see quickly how it would look. So let's use our 9:16 sequence first. I've got a fun clip up here. Let's just click along. I'm gonna do I for endpoint. O for out point. So we've got a little section. Click and drag this down here. And we're going to go keep existing settings because you can see this is a different video type over here on the left. And we want to keep with the one that we've made on the right. So we're going to hit keep. Now we can see our little slither of video in there. Now, of course, we can then go into our effects controls. And we did a video on this just yesterday, actually, on scaling up video and adjusting how your video is cropped, which is what this would be. So I'll put a link in the description for that video. I can click on my clip up to effects controls and scale up my clip to get rid of the black top and bottom. And if I go full screen, you can see that. We could also then pan with our position left and right to get the best selected frame. Let's go ahead and do it in our 1x1 sequence. So we've double clicked on our 1x1 sequence, which is square. We're going to drag and drop that same footage down, keep existing settings, and we can zoom in, click the clip, effects controls, and scale up to get rid of the black and crop in correctly. And then we can pick our favorite part of the video. And obviously in 16:9, if our feature video or our clip is already the dogs. I have dogs, they're barking. If our feature clip is already that ratio, when we drag and drop it in, it's going to be the correct size. Now, you might be noticing these black bars here. These were burnt in to this clip to give it the cinema effect. So that is actually still, it's hard to explain, but it is a 16:9 frame with the kind of black bars burnt in. So it just looks cool. And we'll be doing another video on adding CinemaScope to your videos shortly. In summary, that's how to create those 3 different common aspect ratios inside of Premiere Pro: 9:16, 1:1, and 16:9. Make sure to give us a follow or a subscribe and comment if you've got any tutorials that you would like me to have a look at and help you along the way. This has been another episode of Quickly Reminding Myself, Google was asked how to change aspect ratios. See you in the classroom.